you don't mind the idea of the Senate becoming much more like I love the House, but it's kind of crazy. And I think I was always grateful that there was a Senate there that served as a bit of a backstop. You don't have any concern that we go from a country that is just swinging wildly back and forth on whatever people can eke out with a bare minimum majority, and programs have no stability. One party puts something in, 3 or 4 years later, that gets repealed, and nothing is durable anymore.
No, I mean, I think that the bigger problem is that we don't get anything done, and we can't, operate as a country in any reasonably responsive way as the greatest nation on earth. And I think that's no way to govern a country as big and powerful as we are. And I think, when you talk about the Senate becoming the House, it's important to know that the things that make the Senate distinct from the House in the founders' view had nothing to do with the filibuster, because the filibuster didn't exist in the framers' vision. In fact, they considered putting a supermajority threshold in place and rejected it vehemently. This wasn't something that they sort of never thought of. It was a hot topic of debate at the Constitutional Convention and written about extensively in the Federalist Papers. And the reason they rejected it was that they had had direct experience with what a legislature looks like when it has a supermajority threshold in the Articles of Confederation. And it had been a disaster, and it had paralyzed their ability to respond to the challenges of the time. It had, not supported bipartisanship. In fact, it had squandered it because it had, put a minority of legislators in power to block anything and be obstructionist. So, the framers saw that happen with the Articles of Confederation. So when they were crafting the Constitution, they said, well, that sucked. That was a disaster. And we put the supermajority threshold in place for the reasons that, people think it's good, that it would facilitate consensus and compromise. But they saw with their very own eyes it had the opposite effect and empowered a minority to block things. And so I think if you were to get rid of wave a magic wand tomorrow and get rid of and when I say filibuster, I'm talking about the 60 vote threshold. You would keep in place the ability to debate endlessly in the Jimmy Stewart version. But if you could wave a magic wand tomorrow and get rid of the de facto 60 vote threshold, the Senate would still be different from the House in all of the ways that the framers intended.